everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Beneath Your Skin. This is Gaia, still dealing with the madness going on around me and wondering why the hell we hated ourselves so much to watch this whole saga. Hello, Zoya, how are you doing, my dear?
Yes, getting progressively more brain dead as time goes on. Um, yes, the Exorcist saga is not proving to be the fountain of creativity and horror and joy that the original movie is or the TV show is. I don't know how we went from being so obsessed with The Exorcist and the Exorcist television show that we would start watching all films about like demonic possession because we just wanted more like of that feeling that The Exorcist gave us and the Exorcist TV show gave us, to going, you know what, we should watch the original films and it will give us more depth and a bigger understanding of the movie we love so much. Only for me to be slowly dying inside and wishing that we'd never started this and we had just stopped at The Exorcist. Because each one gets progressively like, I don't understand what you have to do with The Exorcist, really. Like, why are these related? This one should have just been its own movie with its own plot. But yeah, yes, it's not soothing my soul very well and dealing with the chaos that the world is because, yeah, these movies are not good.
Not at all. And I mean, I had great expectation for the third one because uh, it was based on Blatty's novel, like The Exorcist, and I really wanted to see what he could have created. I mean, from a screenwriter point of view, this movie at least was more sound than the second one, The Heretic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it's clear. There is a clear feeling that whoever was behind the camera, and it was Blatty himself, knew those characters because they were his. He created them. So that's the only saving grace of this movie. That should have been a thriller.
Yes.
It was good as a thriller. It was good. It had some good ideas, but sadly this movie has a little bit of bad luck story behind itself because at the beginning of the project uh, it should have been directed by Friedkin, like the first movie. But then something happened, and Friedkin stepped back from this project. So the production told Blatty, "Why don't you direct it yourself?" And Blatty was directing this movie based on one of his romance, Legion, but it should have been a thriller. Because at some point the production said something like, okay, we need to have an exorcism scene in this movie. And Blatty was like, no, we don't. Why do you want? And that was the only thing they could think about to connect this third movie to the original one. Uh, like I said, for the second one, you can't simply bring back names that you can relate to the original movie to have a good product in your hands. This was somehow good until the very end. The last 20 minutes of this movie make no sense. Okay, no, perhaps even the when he realized who the Gemini killer is, but really the last 20 minutes don't make any sense. It's like stepping into another movie, a very bad one. Yeah, we really are sorry, but even this time we have not much good
No.
to say about this movie.
like this film didn't make me angry like The Heretic did. I'm not like there's no reason to like there's no ranting and raving because of like locusts and no supernatural things and overuse of white virginal like clothing as representing innocence. Like this was a solid made film. When it first started, I was like, oh, for once, this one actually used the Exorcist score, which the second one didn't, and it has that beautiful shot of the stairs from Georgetown, and the fog comes down it, and there's these lovely, like, overlaying, like, dialogue, and then there's these lovely images of, like, the white collar with the rose and the blood and all this, and it was like, oh, this is well filmed. There's some nice iconography going on. I'm intrigued about this case. We get like the police officer and the priest, and they're still friends, and they're going out for dinner, and they had great chemistry and great dialogue. And that whole scene made me laugh with the whole like, I'm going to kill that carp. It's been in my bath for 3 days. If I go home before the carp is asleep, I'm going to murder a carp. And it's just like done with such conviction, and the acting's really good. And then the film kind of just kept on going, but nothing was really happening. So I have to admit, I kind of got a little bored. I was a bit like, da da da, we're slowly investigating this. And it's like, also, I didn't realise it was set in the 90s until it started, and it was like 1990. I'm like, this is nearly 20 years since the first one. 20 years later, and you're going, ha ha, the devil is still out there. Well, Pazuzu is still out there. It's like, well, we knew that. So at least, like, it got the canon right that Pazuzu was out there, and as Pazuzu was dying, it decided to, like, send up one of its underlings to go and wreak havoc, and, you know, and that's how, like, the Gemini murderer was born. But at the same time, it would have been better as a thriller. But to work as a thriller, you needed some more scenes of like police work and investigation, like those kind of like and murder and crime scenes. I was like, where are the crime scenes? Where are like there's like every now and again you got a flash of a dead body, then they'd talk about something, and then he was forever in this like hospital, mental asylum place, Sisters of Mercy, getting shouted at because people kept doing shit in the dark. Oh, they're just toys. I'm like, turn the lights on! Turn the lights on! And then people wouldn't walk into your rooms in the dark and surprise you. But they're like, no, we're going to play with toys in the dark. We're weird. And it's just like, okay, I think somehow Father Karras is alive and in this cell. And the Father Karras is like, haha, no, I'm not Father Karras. I'm the Gemini killer. Tell the world. And I'm like, you're getting a bit convoluted here. And any scene in the cell between them, the intensity and the dialogue and the acting was phenomenal, and I was like so invested in those tight little scenes of just the two of them, and all they were doing was sitting and every now and again having close-ups of the guy just babbling on about batshit crazy stuff and like, I'm going to rip your family apart, and it's like, and I loved it. And then we'd wander around and do nothing for a bit. And we're like, oh, it's a little old lady who listens to the radio. And then things just start going weird. Like, how does anyone get away with having a pair of shears that big and nobody... You cannot conceal a pair of shears so big that they can lop off someone's head. And, I mean, how sharp must they have been to have just wandered off and lop off people's head? Why? Why would they... I was like, I don't understand. This is making less sense. And then, oh, yes... The gates of hell have opened, and a priest we've only met for 2 seconds is dead. And we're like, what? Wait a minute, who are you? Oh, Father Morning. Who's Father Morning? How was he related? Where did he come from? What's he doing an exorcism for while the police officer's being choked because a crazy granny's in his house with giant scissors? I'm like, if you're like a detective, where's your gun? The minute you see a crazy person running around your house with a giant pair of shears trying to decapitate your daughter, like, you do something more than go, oh no! I don't know. It's like, it started off interesting, and it has these wonderful, brilliantly filmed shots of the two guys just talking in that kind of weird cell, and it's so intense. And then nothing happens for ages. And then the last 20 minutes were just like, well, what's going on? Nope, don't know anymore.
Yeah, I really don't like when characters pop out from nowhere, like Father Morning. They could have even called him Father Morningstar, because really it was just so cliche that this is happening during the 15th anniversary of Father Karras' death, and then we find out that Father Karras is not really dead, but he could be. Yeah, he's dead, but he's inside the Gemini killer, and
Yeah.
then okay, really, after 3 movies, we learned something. If you want to make a movie related to the Exorcist saga, you need a mental institution with very, very, very sick people walking around unguarded and uncontrolled. You need a beautiful scene with the sun. It doesn't matter if it's the sundown or the dawn. You need one. You need creepy nuns looking, giving you the bad eye because you are doing something stupid, and possibly one female character screaming at you
Oh God.
for no reason at all. And yeah, that's what I learned. I have to admit, when we first meet the Gemini killer and we realize he's Brad Dourif, I couldn't stop myself from thinking, "Oh my God, this man this man ever played a good role?" Because really, I can think about 2 roles above everyone everyone else he played. Mentat Peter de Vries in the Dune movie by David Lynch, and he was such a twisted and bad character. He was fantastic in that movie, but he was the Baron Harkonnen's Mentat, and he was as crazy as his master, if not even more. And then, more recently, he played Grima Wormtongue in The
Wormtongue, yeah.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. And okay, my God, man, did you ever play a good character in your career? No, you
No.
are amazing. You are
He is
amazing playing the
amazing.
villain.
Yeah, because he's in the Green Mile, isn't he? And he's the
Yeah,
dick in the
exactly.
Green Mile, and then he's in Alien Resurrection, and he's a dick like mental scientist. He's an amazing actor. I've always liked him, but I think he's always played absolute psychopaths and crazy people, and yeah, he's stuck to what he's good at. He does it well because he's fantastic. Like the movie is literally
Absolutely.
saved by those scenes, but
Yeah. I like in this movie the lieutenant's reaction when he loses his friend 15 years after he has lost Karas.
yeah.
It's very, some scenes are very deep. They are good. They hit you hard. And then you have the old grandma crawling
On the ceiling.
along the ceiling, and you are like, oh, well,
Well,
because she never met my grandmother. My grandmother was 1 meter and 40 centimeters of pure evilness. If she had tried to crawl along the ceiling with my grandmother standing in the room, my grandmother would have killed her just looking at her. So she did. But yeah, that scene didn't make much sense. Come on,
no.
it was more for laugh than
Yeah,
for anything
it would
else.
have been creepy if this was a proper horror film, but they kept trying to remind us, oh yeah, it's a horror film, put something weird in it. And you're like, cool, but what about the investigation that's going on? I need some evidence here. I wanted to see the thriller. I want to see the evidence. I want to see the, you know, what's going on. Or I just want to see a movie about 2 guys shouting at each other in a cell because that's amazing. It's like the film had some severe pacing issues. It was kind of very slow. You could tell that there was a really good story. I loved the we are legion for we are many. I love that line, and it's like that's a great line, and that's like so like because obviously Legion is for me. I know Legion as the child of Charles Xavier in the Marvel universe, and Legion has got like all those voices in his head, and that's why he's called Legion, because he's many, and he's got like, he's one of those powerful mutants ever, but like just like got multiple personalities, like properly schizophrenic. And I'd like to think that Legion and that idea came from the original novel, and that whole, because I'm pretty sure that line is in Legion, the Marvel stuff, that the whole like, I'm called Legion because we are many. And it's like, oh, it's such a good line and such a good idea wasted in a film that they couldn't decide if they wanted a horror movie or a thriller. It kind of like would be really, really slow and nothing would happen. And then really scenes that didn't make any sense. And then just went a bit batshit at the end. With like
Yeah.
the gates of hell opening up and arms reaching out of it, and like him going, "I know who you are," and I'm like, "I don't anymore." I was like, I just thought this was a like, I like the idea of death row inmates being possessed by evil, and it turns out they commit their crimes because they're possessed by like a serial killer from the past. And I'm sure there's movies and there's definitely anime I've watched like that, and I like that. And I would have been fine with that, and it kind of going, are they really possessed by the spirit of Jack the Ripper, say? Or are they just nutso? And you kind of have this like weird, tight psychological game. And you can tell the film kind of wanted to be a bit Silence of the Lambsy. Although, when did Silence of the Lambs come out? Because Silence of the Lambs is phenomenal, like one of my all-time favourite movies. And they were trying to channel a bit of that. And once you started seeing all the different things it was trying to be, you kind of lost what it wanted to be, and then it lost what it wanted to be. And it was like, woohoo! Let's just go mental. And it's like, why is there a granny in our house? I don't know. How do they let the old woman just walk out of that hospital? Like the last two movies, anyone in a hospital just can wander off without anyone going, maybe we should make sure that patients that have like, severe dementia or mental health issues don't just wander off into the streets, and maybe we should make sure they don't have a massive pair of head cutting shears on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that will be a good hospital policy, but in that hospital, uh, people were more prone to die than to heal. So,
Yeah, hospital of death.
and, and we don't even know about the carp anymore. What
Yeah.
happened to the carp?
Did the cop die? Did it get cooked into a tasty dinner? Like, is it still in his bathtub? Like,
Did they ever take a bath in their life anymore because the carp is still there?
yeah. Did they decide to just, make a tank for it and go, there we go, carp, new life? I just love the, like, you're standing very close to me, father. Yes, I haven't had a bath in 3 days. And if I go home while the carp is awake, I'm like, there's a horror film. I wanted to see him going to try and brush his teeth, and the carp just being like, giving him the side eye, and he's like, dun dun, dun dun.
Exactly. No, but we don't see anything. Even the bodies,
No.
we don't see anything. Just a little bit of blood coming through doors, because when you kill someone, of course, you slaughter them, and the blood just comes running from
Yeah.
under the doors every time you do,
It's like,
every time.
Exorcist is
That,
an 18 rated franchise. So why was this one suddenly like a 15? It must have been a 15 because you barely saw anything in it.
exactly, exactly. And it was lame.
Yeah.
It was very lame, very weak. In where he should have been strong, it was very weak. I mean, I would have personally killed the doctor screaming in the lieutenant's face because the lieutenant wanted to lock down the hospital. Of course, he wanted to.
Yeah.
A man died there with people all around him, and no one realized what was happening. Of course, he wants to put the whole place in lockdown because it's not just because he was his friend,
It's
it's
because
because he was in a damn hospital full of doctors and nurses, and someone
vulnerable people, you know.
and someone entered in his room, drained him from all the blood in his body, cut his head, cut one of his finger, left a grammatically wrong message on the wall, and no one realized what was happening.
Yeah.
You should thank the lieutenant for locking down that hospital.
it's like, yeah, it's like such a gruesome murder that we barely got to see. But like, if something like that happens in a hospital, you'd be like, we'll do everything to help you because it could be one of the staff. They could be, or it could go after the staff. It could go after vulnerable patients. It could go like, we thought at one point it was going to kill a child, but it turns out there was just a nurse playing with him in the dark, which I think is a bit weird in the first place. I'm like, and I hated that nurse just screaming, I can't wait for you to go. It's like, stop screaming at the poor dude. He's trying to stop people being murdered in the place you work. You could be murdered, screamy woman, and don't play with children in the dark. This was my
Yeah,
takeaway from that.
yeah. And do we want to talk about the dream sequence? That
Uh,
doesn't make any sense at all.
yes. Yeah, there was some,
Wow.
they got a bit
I mean,
wiggy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, you needed a way to show us that the Father Dyer was dead before the lieutenant finds out himself. But really, like that,
Yeah.
with angels playing tarots for whatever
That
reason,
was so
and
weird.
yeah, yeah. And why the hell the only angel with black wings was the black angel? Wasn't that a little bit racist?
Yeah. I mean, the film did have some characters that seemed to have a big problem with the Jews. I'm like, why do they keep insulting the Jews in this? I'm like, it's like, why do we have like randomly racist characters? And it was just like, I mean, one joke I got, it was the guy was dumb. So when he was asked what was rabies, it was just like, oh yeah, it's what the Jewish people have, and it's no rabbis. You got so I understood that he got the word rabies and rabbis confused. But then the grandmother in the house was all like, oh, the Jews are psychos. And then someone else was all like, oh, it's because of the Jews. And I'm like, I don't even see any Jews in this movie for you to be going around
Exactly.
insulting them. I'm just seeing normal
Yeah.
people. And then, like, yeah, the one black angel has black wings. And I'm like, no, all angels have white or greyish wings. They don't, like, only fallen angels have black wings. It was very on the nose. It comes to me the visions of angels. It's like, it's not my dream. And I'm like, I think it should have been subtler. It should have been a nice subtler, and then you would have woken up with that sense of loss rather than waking up going, so Angel Band was having a bit of a party, and I was like, oh god, this is weird.
Yeah, too weird. I think we are in that moment of our lives in which too weird stuff annoying us.
Yeah.
Because really, we are old ladies, or at least I am an old lady and I bitch like one. And yeah, too weird is a little bit too much for me. So no,
It's like
no, no, thank
it's when you
you.
have like weird for no other sake than trying to be surreal. When other things have been like weird and surreal, and it's part of the universe they're creating, and you're totally fine with it. I mean, everyone knows that like I watch more anime than anything on the planet, and a lot of it is very weird, but I love it. And it's like because there's more to it than just being a weird visual. This was just like this made no sense that a choir of partying angels with trumpets would just be hanging out in the ward.
And then the last scene, the exorcism scene, that it was clearly put there after the movie was done. It was an obligation. It's clear that no one wanted it there. It's like walking straight into another movie. It doesn't make any sense. At some point, there are even snakes.
Oh god, yeah, everywhere. The only thing is
Why?
good is the acting of like the guy going, and I have snakes, and I will, and just him being wonderful. But it still was like that needed to be a different movie. Like,
Exactly. And an unknown priest walking into the is a cell.
yeah,
It's not an hospital room, it's a cell. And the door closes behind him for no reason. Well, yeah, another thing you need to put in any exorcist movie, doors closing by themselves and never to be open again, probably. And yeah, and you are like, wait a moment, who are you? Oh yeah, you are the guy with the dead bird.
oh,
So I saw you just two means on screen, and you are the one who should exercise Father Karras slash the Gemini killer slash Legion slash whoever is there. Ah, good luck with that. And then he was thrown to the ceiling, and to get free, he leaves basically his whole back on the ceiling, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And they have lost me, and
It
I
just
was
gets
like, okay,
weird.
yeah,
I couldn't help but laugh at the bit when, like, Legion uses its powers to just rip the priest's clothes off. So he's standing there, the wind rips his clothes off, and I was like, that's like a 90s music video, and I'm just like, oh no, his robes have gone, and now he's just in his suit. And I was like, oh, this isn't meant to be funny, but I'm finding this funny. He's like, and now you're on the ceiling, and now your flesh is being ripped off, and now you're dead in a corner. Well done. You did nothing. There was no point in you. I'm still not entirely sure who you are. But it's alright, because the lieutenant will come and shout about believing in evil. So
yeah.
he defeats the evil by talking about believing in evil.
I like that. I like that new point of view.
Yeah.
I really like that. He doesn't believe in. For thank God, for once in this movie, there aren't any priests losing their faith.
Yes.
There is a man who have seen too many things, a man whose whole life was spent fighting against human evilness. And so we have a man who can actually defeat the legion, the demon legion, believing in everything that is evil in the world, and everything that is ugly in the world. But he faces Legion believing into everything that is human.
Yeah.
The things he saw, they weren't done by demons, they were done by humans. So he faces a very strong demon armed with the knowledge that people too can be more evil than a demon himself. And then, because you need hope, because otherwise you can't defeat your enemy, you need hope. He believes in Father Karras. He believes that he still can fight, and he just needs one moment for Father Karras to fight back so that he can finally give peace to his friend. Because he failed his friend for 15 years, and then this is the moment he can finally do something for him. I like that.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's a lovely, beautiful idea. I just wish it had come about in a different film. Like, as I say, these really good scenes. When you link them all together, it stopped making sense. But there's these beautiful ideas in here that are just wasted on a film that doesn't know what to do with these beautiful ideas, which is such a shame. I think the most upsetting thing is there's so many disappointments in this movie. Like, you see what it could potentially have been, and it was so well acted by the main characters. Some people was a bit random, and then it's just wasted on a film that doesn't follow through and then just goes a bit batshit at the end.
That's a good question, and sadly, no one will answer us, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So, if Zoe doesn't have anything else to say about the movie,
No.
and I for sure don't, thank you so much for listening to us. And you can follow us on our Facebook page, Beneath Your Skin, or on our Tumblr, Beneath Your Skin 2020. We have a Twitter account at Beneath_your, and you can find us on Spotify. So we hope to hear from you, and thank you for listening. Have a great day, and bye bye.
Yes, as always, it's a pleasure. Maybe not the last two films, but you know we're committed to this, and it's got to be done. But I hope you're still enjoying the episodes, and we'll hear from you next time. For now, byes.